Would like to share some of my poetry with you. Some of it has to do with my childhood, which was a very long time ago. Would like to read my first one. Haven't memorized these yet. The first one is oatmeal cookies. We thought we were worthy, but being placed in the basement of the elementary school, I guess we couldn't be trusted to sell big oatmeal cookies and chocolate and white milk. So during recess, we were placed in the basement, along with basement quality teachers. It was some kind of battle between us and the upstairs kids. They were somehow better than us. We came from Kramer Street, the hood, one block full of Gucci boys and other bullies, and a few wild parents that fought on weekends we saw as entertainment. My friend's father would say on a slow night, let's go sit in the porch and go to the movies. If you couldn't get 50 cents to get into the Atlas Theater, you just went outside on Friday night, a hot night, in summer, and got all the action you needed. Selling oatmeal cookies wasn't nothing, we thought. We had ourselves, and we knew who we were, especially when our basement teachers told us how to stay out of jail and taught us to sing at our graduation. We sang, "We are climbing Jacob's ladder." Oh yeah, we were something then. We made all the teachers cry and hug us and tell us how great we were. It was 10 times better than selling cookies made out of oatmeal. My grandmother Maggie on my father's side, she was a mess. Looking over her glasses, high-cheeked and sand-skinned brown from the Manistee sun, weathered by water from the Huron, she, Maggie, was knock-kneed and mean as all get out, with a line for a lip that metamorphosized into rectangles, polygons, hexagons. She saw the possibilities. She was her own civil rights bill, Black Power movement, and Underground Railroad, conducting private race rides in the backyards of Michigan, just as she did in Mississippi and Indiana, in times when Daddy was young and sisters Helen Ozella close by. To hear their mama sing defiantly, "I'm Cherokee, I'm Cherokee." She had the papers to prove it. She got reparations that proved it. She saw the possibilities. Irish bullies would not mess with her children. Her daughter's husbands wouldn't either. Told her daughter-in-law, my mother, with 4 chickadees and a newborn in her arm, it wasn't nothing to her, this baby birthing thing. She'd birthed 11, but could have birthed 23. She saw the possibilities. That was Maggie. Choose. We all have to make choices. But sometimes we really can't choose. We just have to accept what life has chosen for us. Fire and water take turns, adding and subtracting the living from the dead. Choose. We played behind the barn and ventured into the old plantation mansion, broken down from winds of justice and carelessness. In ignorance we plundered as children who knew not its worth, receptacles of our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers. And those that came on ships, yes, they came on ships laying out like perfect human spoons in perfect order, delivered into perfect chaos. The rest were born behind this great antebellum hulk, in cotton fields burned by anger, swallowed in tears, where blood of whips and fertile wombs mingled. Oh, the stories that DNA could tell. Some were black, some were white, some the same blood, different equations. Choose the fire or the water, whichever takes life or gives it. How long has it been? How long has it been since I've been so happy? Let me see. Was it when I ate all those figs and grapes and the juice ran down my chin and me and Gwen laughed because we stole them all And that's why they tasted so good. How long has it been since I've been so happy? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was when I stayed and played at Aunt Sally's house all summer long. I was happy then with those good country meals, fresh chicken from the barn, fresh greens from the field, and cucumbers picked from the North Carolina ground, and white corn so sweet, like it was dipped in sugar, brown sugar. And when Grandpa burnt a whole cow up, I laughed until I cried, 'cause he had all he had was the cow tongue left. How long has it been since I've been so happy? Was it when I composed a song that all my friends tried to memorize? We thought we were going to Hollywood. How long has it been since I laughed like this, with everybody wearing all kinds of smiles, opening up my heart with silent poems, written in love on strangers' faces? I know it couldn't have been that long. I have 4 short poems I'm going to read, and it's all dedicated to people that I love or something that I love. The first poem is called I Can't Believe I Wrote a Poem to a Dog. A common name, overused, familiar yet mystical, Misty. The possessor is a low and subservient. She runs around with her tongue floating in the air, whining cordially for turkey bones and morsels of attention, breathing at my Achilles heel in her fine fur coat, licked clean just this morning, Misty. A rainy, transparent name, a name that brings steam to your nose and fog to your mirror, giving away untainted love, free of emotional expense. It was love from a being that had no other outstanding quality, no outstanding human quality, but to do just that one good thing, to show love. Misty. The next poem is dedicated to my grandfather. In North Carolina, share a fall morning with me, Pa. I will give you golden thoughts and honor you. Papa, freckle-faced and thick-bodied, a scholar of light among mules, lakes, and woods. Weaving stories so sublime, Shakespeare would have sat at his feet, taken notes, sipped iced tea, ate fried chicken and corn on the cob, danced with Grandmother and laughed with Aunt Sally, visited the outhouse, and returned to England with another masterpiece. This next poem is Oh Such a Love. It's when I visited my Aunt Martin in Richmond, Virginia. I never saw such a love. He wiped her mouth with candy-striped cloth and chased the birds from the nest of her hair. The love, I never saw such that wasted not the wasted and wanted, desired the unwanted, protecting her from strange hospital beds and yellow walls and nursing homes that saw her as income. The love, it astonished me. I never witnessed such. He fed her with syringes of pureed beans and washed her shriveled body till it glistened like a newborn babe. He held her and spoke to her so gently and saw her with the eyes of a virulent lover. The love was such that I never saw. It was a divine sight. Oh, such a love. The next poem is when my grandmother would come up from North Carolina. I love combing her hair. And when I combed her hair, she would just say things to me about our history. And this is called Combing Her Hair. It was silky smooth spider webs dipped in silver with little sparks of gold. It was so soft in my hand as I combed through, pulling her head gently this way and that way, a tiny strong head on a tiny strong body. Known for hard work, bearing children and tilling the ground with a love for the soil, of reverence. It was her crown, her hair, of beauty on a beautiful soul, that when I got into the rhythm of the brushstroke and the strokes of the comb, it sang songs to her that made her tell me things, history things, of how some of us was never no slaves, and how we used to might have been Longses or Collinses and not Williamses, and how we might have come up from New Orleans to these Carolinas, and how her daddy was never no slave, but a full-blooded Cherokee who never was no slave, but a blacksmith who wore a patch over his right eye that a nail popped in. And I kept combing her hair and brushing her hair in the rhythm of it, because I like hearing that part where some of us was never no slaves. When Miss Rose was laid out in her living room, she loved flowers that grew so heartily out of her concrete sidewalk that enclosed a tiny patch of dirt. I remember her digging and humming and looking up at the sun every time she did a little dig, and every once in a while. But when they said she died, her and my mother talking about it, we knew about death, but this time it was close. Just a few houses down in that street. We whispered, was she going to be a ghost? And were we nice? Did we speak to her every time we passed her by? Every time we passed her house? Did we greet her? Which in the summertime was 1,000,000 times. As good, respectful children, we knocked on the door about a week after she died. We wanted to tell her daughter how sorry we were that she died. A man opened the door. He said, come in, where a lot of people were sitting around singing hymns softly and dabbing their eyes. This house was not like our house, with a hall and a vestibule. When you stepped into this house, it was straight into the living room. And that's what we did. And that's what we saw in our neighborhood, just one generation from the South. It was what you saw when people died. They were laid out in their living rooms. Laid out, nice, like they were asleep, with their hands folded. Flowers were all around, soft singing and weeping. We stood over her a little afraid. We thought about her ghost, and had we been nice and one of us touched her hand, it wasn't me. She looked peaceful. She looked so peaceful. I looked around and thought, what if Miss Rose is not dead? What if Miss Rose got up? I felt a giggle coming up. One of my friends gave me a sharp look that said, do you want Miss Rose haunting you? We left Miss Rose sleeping in her new bed right away. Concerning my people in our grace, from whom God for a little while hid his face. We went through long ship rides, packed like sardines in the filth and the vomit of princes and queens, of gentle persons and warriors, and some common thieves, and many outer worshippers transformed to believe in the one true and living God of the whole universe, with the power to give blessings and the power to curse, who sat on his holy hill where we lifted up our eyes, wailing for his mighty strength as a race sore despised, but not in his eyes, not in his eyes. We came out of a fruitful land under evil agendas that said they were Christians, but oh, what great pretenders. From West Africa, Nigeria, and the Cameroons, lined up and perfectly placed like sweaty black spoons. Brought to the shores of the low country by a perilous route, now known as the Carolinas, Carolina North and South. They brought us to a rich place, but held its bounty from us. Yet God himself prepared a table right before us. Those stubborn hearts, rapists, and mammon-raised masters could not stop us from eating from the God's secret platter. The abusers who would never know how we drank from the hidden wells. Oh, the stories the Carolina woods and the great dismal swamp could tell. Though they dumped us like animals from the slave traders' ships, though they tore our flesh and stripped our minds and stung us with whips, though they built this America with our blood and with our skill, they preserved forever as long as we looked to his holy hill. Though they told us we were 3/5 human in their own constitution, a few righteous men stood up and said no to that pollution. In this 21st century time, we must still lift up our eyes. And though some voices in America say we're still a race despised, we know it's not in his eyes. No, not in his eyes.